All right, everybody, welcome back. We are back with another deep dive, and this time we're tackling something that I think is really relevant to just about everyone these days.
Oh, yeah.
Online learning motivation, or the lack thereof.
Yeah.
And we're really lucky to have some amazing research to dig into for this deep dive from Kevin Brake.
Yes, Kevin Brake does some great work.
He really does.
Yeah.
And, so whether you are currently taking an online course or thinking about it, or maybe you just want to learn more about how we learn,
Right.
I think there's going to be something in this deep dive for you.
Definitely something for everybody here. And, it's interesting because motivation, it's kind of like this hidden force, right? We all know it's important, but we don't always know how to tap into it.
Especially online, right?
Yeah, especially online. I mean, think about it. Our lives have become so digital. We work online, we socialize online, and of course now we learn online.
Yeah. It's like our brains are trying to adapt to this whole new way of doing things. And sometimes it's like, wait a minute, how do I stay focused? How do I stay motivated?
Exactly. And that's why I think Kevin Brake's research is so valuable. It's like he's giving us a roadmap for understanding how motivation works in this digital world.
Totally. And one of the things that really jumped out at me when I was going through his work was his emphasis on feedback.
Feedback.
Yeah. Like the kind of feedback we get when we're learning online.
Oh, yeah, that's so important. In a traditional classroom, you've got your teacher there, you've got your classmates, you're kind of bouncing ideas off of each other.
Right. There's like this energy.
Exactly. You can kind of feel it. But online, it can feel so isolating sometimes.
It's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
And Kevin's research found that, we need to be much more intentional about creating those motivational cues
Intentional about those cues.
Yeah. Like we can't just rely on, the bell ringing or the teacher giving us a pat on the back.
Right, right. We need something else.
Exactly. We need something else. And so what he found was that feedback, focusing on a student's progress, like rather than just giving them a grade, that kind of feedback actually boosted engagement, like way more.
Really? How much more?
He found that it was like 45% more.
Wow. That's huge.
I know. It's crazy, right?
I know.
That makes you think like, okay, so what if we design online platforms that they kind of adjust the difficulty level based on your responses?
Oh, that's interesting. So it's always challenging you just enough, but not so much that you get discouraged.
Exactly. Like a personalized learning path kind of thing.
Yeah, I like that. It's like having a personal tutor for everything you're learning.
Exactly. And speaking of personalized learning, Kevin's research also delves into how our individual learning styles play a role in online motivation.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. I mean, we all learn differently, right?
We do. Like some people, they love structure. They need like a really clear schedule and deadlines, and they thrive in that kind of environment.
I'm kind of one of those people, actually. I need my lists and my calendars.
Totally. Me too. But then there are other people who need like a ton of flexibility.
Yeah, they want to learn at their own pace.
Exactly. And they might get totally overwhelmed by too much structure.
And both are totally valid.
Totally. So
Yeah.
it's like, how can we design online learning experiences that are flexible enough to meet everyone's needs?
It's a good question. It's not one size fits all, right?
Nope, definitely not. And that makes me think about like different learning preferences too. Like, some people are super visual learners.
They need to see things to learn them.
Right. So for them, it's like maybe video lectures and interactive simulations are going to be way more effective than, pages and pages of text.
Great. Makes sense. And then you have people who are more auditory learners.
They might do better with podcasts or
Yeah.
audiobooks.
Yeah, or even just listening to lectures.
Totally. And I'm like a kinesthetic learner.
Yeah,
I got to be like hands-on doing stuff to really get it.
you're a doer. That's awesome.
So for me, it's like interactive exercises, projects, things like that really keep me engaged.
You gotta get your hands dirty.
Exactly. Now, I've actually had the pleasure of working with Kevin Brake before, and one of the things that I really appreciate about his approach is that it's not just theoretical.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, he's all about practical application. Like, how can we take this research and actually use it to improve online learning?
Right. So let's talk about that then. What are some actionable things that people can do?
Okay, so if you're a student, think about the kind of feedback you find most motivating. Is it specific? Does it give you actionable steps to improve?
Those are good questions.
Yeah. And if you're an instructor, how can you make your feedback more engaging, more progress-oriented? And if you're someone who's like creating online learning content, Think about how you could build those motivational cues right into the experience.
Yeah, like how do you make it so that people actually want to keep learning?
Right, exactly. So maybe it's through like interactive elements or personalized feedback.
Or maybe even opportunities for collaboration.
Oh yeah, collaboration.
Yeah.
That's a big one. You know, when you feel like you're part of a community,
You're not just learning in isolation.
exactly. It makes a huge difference. And that actually brings up another really important point from Kevin's research, the importance of community in online learning.
Community.
Yeah, it's like in a world where we're often learning in isolation, how can we foster a sense of connection and belonging?
That's a really good question. And I think it's something that we need to be thinking about more and more as online learning becomes even more prevalent.
Totally. And I think it kind of brings us to our final thought for this deep dive. You know, we've talked a lot about how to boost individual motivation, but what about designing online learning environments that like inherently foster a sense of community and belonging?
That's a really interesting idea. It's like building it into the very fabric of the learning experience.
Exactly. Like how can we create online spaces where people feel supported and connected and motivated to learn together?
I love that. That's something for everyone to think about for sure.
Absolutely. And for those of you who want to dive even deeper into this topic, we'll have some fantastic resources linked in the show notes.
Yeah, definitely check those out. There's some great stuff there.
All right, everyone, keep those brains engaged, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
See you next time.